Well, hello there, and welcome to Mysteries, and Magics once again. This is Tutorial Tuesday, so we're going to be doing the tutorial on the poor man's ACAAN that you've already watched the demo of, probably. I hope you have. For those of you who understood exactly what I did in the demo, that's great. I'm glad you're here, but I've also got 7 tips to help you do this particular effect better. So I hope you stick with it, and even though you know the techniques I'm using and the simple sleights that I'm using, you'll get something out of this video as well. I'd just like to say that this is really a fun effect to do, not just for the spectators at the end who get a big laugh out of the fact that their card ended up in their hand instead of the deck and this kind of thing. It's just fun for a magician to do, because you're going to do as many as 7 different basic sleights right underneath your spectators' noses. And it's just fun to do that and watch them gradually get baffled and the funny looks on their faces and whatnot. So this is just a fun trick. It's not a particularly mind-blowing trick, but you should enjoy doing it. And I hope you give it a try, see how it works in your own repertoire. The first thing I'd like to say when you get into this thing is the first tip. This is an impromptu trick, very much so. You can do this with any deck of cards. But unlike most impromptu tricks where you can let the audience member or a spectator shuffle the cards beforehand, I wouldn't do that with this particular effect. Why? Because you're going to do 3 or 4 shuffles of your own. And if you let the spectator do it first and then later come back and you're doing them yourself, it makes the spectator kind of wonder, well, why won't he let me shuffle the cards myself, since I did it before before the trick began. Now all of a sudden he's in the middle of the trick, he's got to do the shuffles. There's something suspicious about the way he's shuffling. So don't even get into that. Just, if you want to shuffle the cards yourself before you start, that's fine. Just don't let a spectator do it. Okay, so again, it's an impromptu trick. The choice of cards, however you want to do the choice of cards, fan the cards out, do a riffle, whatever, totally free choice. The demo used the 8 of Hearts was the card that was chosen, so we'll continue to use that for the tutorial. Okay, so the next thing you do is, after you've taken the card, again, you're not going to see it. They're going to know what it is. You take the card from them, or you can have them put it in the deck. It's up to you how you do this, but you have to control the card to the top of the deck as the deck is face down. Okay. Now the way I do it is, I do take the card from them and I do a double undercut, and you do, and there you go. You're right there. Now, I've been told that the double undercut is a little too obvious, so don't just do a double undercut and be done with it. You need to go into something right away to cover it up. This is tip number 2. And again, in this case, you're going to do exactly that. I like to do the double undercut by bending the card down a little bit. You can see the bend right there. That helps me maintain my thumb break. You obscure what you're doing from the spectators, and keep your card controlled to the top. That's how I do it. If you do it some other way, that's fine. If you use some other totally different technique to get the card to the top, that's okay too. Do whatever you're comfortable with. That's what I do. You can do whatever you want as long as the card ends up where it needs to be. So, having done that, you now go directly into a riffle shuffle, a controlled riffle shuffle, and there's going to be a little nuance to it as well. So what I do is, the first time I do it, I take half the deck in my right hand, the other half in my left hand, and we do the shuffle. And the control is, of course, that you drop this card last and it remains on the top. Now here's the nuance, and here is tip number 3. The second time you do the riffle shuffle, you take the top half in your left hand and the bottom half in your right. You do the same riffle shuffle with the same control, leaving the chosen card on the top. Why do you do it that way? It's a little bit of misdirection. It kind of confuses the spectators as to what you're doing. You're starting out this way, this one ends up on top. You do it this way, and from this side, the cards end up this, going onto each other like that. It's just a little bit of confusion to the spectator. You're just mixing things up a little bit and making them think. The next shuffle that I do is a simple overhand shuffle. There's, again, really nothing to it. You apply pressure with your thumb, you apply pressure with your middle finger, you slide 2 cards off. If you get a few in the middle, that's okay. You slide the 2 cards off. Again, your 8 is going to be on top, and you just drop the cards down like so. That's it. That's all there is to it. Let me do that again in the middle of the camera. Slide them off. There's your 8. Okay, you got that? And then you just slide, do a slide as the rest of the cards go down and below it, and there's still your 8 is on top. Okay, now the next thing that I do is a Pharaoh shuffle. If you skip the Pharaoh shuffle, that's fine. It's not going to affect the trick in any way. It's very easy to set the Pharaoh shuffle up to make sure that your card is on the top. If you can do one, then do it if you want to. If you're not really sure how to do one, that's okay. Again, you don't need it. I've got decks of cards you just simply can't do a Pharaoh shuffle with. I like to throw it in because I finally learned how to do it, and I can do it with this particular deck. It's pretty well worn in. There are a lot of other decks, it just won't work. So that's the 4th shuffle. Now, after that, you can simply do a false cut. Again, I don't care what kind of false cut you use. Theoretically, you don't really need one, but it's good to throw one in. I do the triple swing cut like that. You can do the cut like that, one of those. Whatever you're comfortable with, you can do that if you want. Again, not something that's absolutely necessary, but it does create more confusion with the spectators. All right, so we're through a whole bunch of these. We've just done 6 out of the 7 sleights. As you are working toward the last sleight, you say to them, well, now we've got your card, should be pretty well buried into the deck, but the thing is, we want to make sure that it is completely buried. So just to be sure, this is not your card, is it? And they're going to say no. Well, obviously, this is a double lift. Okay? They're going to say no. You're going to show them this card, and you put it back. You take the card off. Good. You take this card, and we'll put it aside right here. You hang on to that because we may need that later. And at this point, you ask them or another spectator for a number. If they say 51, I think I mentioned this on the demo. If they say 51, you can just show them the bottom card. You say, give me a number from 1 to 51. Hopefully, they'll give you something small like 5 or 6. So we'll say 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And you just do this. Tip number 4, at this point, don't say anything. Just take the card, take 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Just like that. Keep your mouth shut. And they'll say to you after a second or two, no, that's not my card. And then you kind of look at it, pause it, and say, are you sure? And they'll say, oh, yeah. And you say to them, well, what was your card? And they'll say the 8 of hearts. And at this point here is the next tip. You have to adjust your pattern accordingly at this point. If, for instance, it's the 8 of hearts is here, but you happen to pick up the 7 of hearts, you can say, oh, I was pretty close. Does that count? If you picked up some other heart, you can say, well, I got the hearts right. Does that count? You got a heart or a diamond, you can say, well, I got red card, or wow, 9 of spades. I'm not really close at all, am I? So adjust your pattern to whatever the situation is based on the card that you come up with here and the card that they tell you that they have. Okay, so once you've done that, you simply say, well, I guess we're not going to need this card after all. All right, so please just put it back on the deck. And what you're going to do is you're going to hold this card face up. This is tip number 6. Just hold this deck face up. 90% of the time, they'll simply take this card, and because you're holding these face up, they'll put it back on face up. If they don't, just tell them to turn it over. But 99% of the time, like I said, I have had people do this and have had to have them turn it over, but they will normally drop the card on like that, and you're good to go. And at this point, they start laughing. And tip number 7 is to finally finish it off as a joke. Well, no wonder I couldn't find your card. You had it the whole time. What are you trying to do? Trick the magician? Who do you think you are? And of course, that just adds to the laughter and makes this effect a lot more fun for them, a lot of fun for you to do. And that's basically it. All right? The poor man's any card at any number. Mr. E's Mysteries and Magic's original version of it. Hope you like it. I hope you try it. Like I said, just plain fun. And you get a lot of great reactions from it. So thank you for watching. We will be doing another video again soon. Stick around if you want to make sure that you get those videos. Make sure you subscribe, hit the notification button. If you like what you saw today, hit the like button and all that good stuff. Thank you again, and thank you to RP Magic Shop in Ludlow, Massachusetts. They do provide free shipping on orders of $40 or more to any address in the United States. So give them a try. Check out their website. The website is listed down below. And again, thank you to them for sponsoring this channel. Thank you for watching. And always remember, always keep them baffled.